think are the biggest threats to the PDR industry in its current state?
I'm leaning on self-driving cars. I think that is the biggest threat. Uh, and for PDR industry, it used to be the material, what they're going to be made of, because they may come out with like plastic and stuff like that. But as you see, the trend is going aluminum, still steel. Um, I know BMW plays around with plastic on the fenders and maybe some carbon fiber, but carbon fiber is still expensive and it's not reusable or recyclable as much as like just honestly like aluminum and steel. Going back to the material side, Ford and a lot of these manufacturers have vested heavily in the material of aluminum and steel, so they're committed to this. I foresee at least for the next 15 to 20 years. And if you're new to PDR and you haven't done PDR, we primarily work on aluminum and steel. We cannot repair dents on plastic. So the cars do need to be metal for us to perform what we do. It's getting a little challenging with the high strength steel, but it is what it is. Now, the self-driving cars, I feel like is going to really put a dagger in PDR. Yeah, that's my thing. What about you,
I
Dave?
think it's going to be the substrates. I think it's going to be the metals and the alloys. Um, will eventually not allow us to perform this specific repair method on vehicles. I think it's good. I think
What
it may go to an overall a replacement behavior rather than a repair. They will get that cost down enough to where it is easily and feasible to just replace panels.
what information, what article leads you to that? Is there anything that you can reference off of?
Uh,
Is like anything that you stumbled across that's like brings you to
it's
that
just it's more of
conclusion?
just intuition and more of a guess than anything. But like you said, I mean,
Okay.
cars are becoming are coming to our doorstep made with different materials, and we've seen that it has been naturally harder from the beginning of our career to now. It is significantly harder to work on some of these vehicles.
Yeah. I think I think it's going to be PDR or replace. That's going to be the division. It won't be repairs anymore. I think the manufacturer is going to step in. I don't think it's going to cut costs. The manufacturers outside of Tesla need to find some recurring money, and if they can jack the price up on these parts, and not allow other companies to third party companies to replicate their parts, they could make sure that they are getting some form of continued revenue. And so that's why I think the metals are just not going to be an issue unless it's like high strength steel, unless they come up with a version of like high strength steel or ultra high strength steel, where it's just so difficult and it limits the pool of
I mean,
repairs
it's
go down to just a
what's the
small
goal,
ding.
right? Higher mile per gallon, or even battery longevity, right? Or range, I guess it is, right? It's not like mile per gallon, but it's range in the electric
Yeah,
side.
range.
Compared to the overall weight of vehicle, it is going to call for lighter um, metals or alloys to create that vehicle. Still strong, still stiff in its own way, still able to handle elements heavy enough to stay on the road, but harder to repair when something is when it is damaged.
Hmm. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, I agree, and that could be we're all, we're all we're all
Yeah, this is
speculating
all
here.
speculation, right? This is just something to kind of get guys thinking out there,
Yeah.
and what maybe some
What's
of the
the
challenges that you're going to experience in the next couple of years. And we don't know. I didn't think aluminum was going to be as prevalent as it currently is. Before, it used to just be hoods, and that still was like almost few and far between. You get the higher end vehicles with just the aluminum, and now you're getting Priuses with laminated glass.
I was just yeah.
So there's a lot more involved, in which to us, can be a good and a bad thing. It does add to the ticket, which adds to the overall repair cost, which is fine, but it's still added difficulty to the skill set.
Yeah. And then articulating that to the customers, it's an added challenge. I had a Nissan Rogue in here, laminate glass, and Dave knows I like to take those glass completely out when I'm dealing with those. I don't like to risk anything.
I have not adopted that
But I
philosophy.
mean, it's tough when you have to now take the whole entire door apart just for, you know, just for the fact that you won't damage, the window or potentially damage a window. So I actually had to wing it, wedge it, and just get this dent done because there's no way he was going to pay almost double for that price of the dent, and I would lose the sale. So, but yeah, as far as the self-driving cars, I feel like there won't be that much damage out there. A lot of the stuff that we fix are parking lot, garage damage, and when the car will just pull you up front and then it will go park itself, it lowers the possibility of those small minor collisions. So that's where I think the issue is. We don't we Now the body shop has another issue because there won't be a lot of collision, but we don't really do a lot of collision work. Whereas a car versus a car, it tends to be a car versus trash can, car versus mailbox, stuff like that. So um, I think it's going to position our customers in a way where they're not going to need to uh, move a car in the garage. Like it just goes itself, and we'll analyze the situation. And so that right there just changes the game. I do think, and we probably talk about it. When will this actually be an issue? And this adoption of what you're saying with metals and what I'm saying with the um, automation of the car, self-driving cars, when do you think that will be an issue, like start being more prevalent in what we do?
20 years. Yeah,
20 years.
I think it's still good. It's still
I
going to
say
take a long time.
yeah, I say 20 years. Yeah, I'm with you on
Because
that. I
even
think
like when we're in
legislation
20
is going to
years, I
be,
mean, you're talking what? You're 60. I'm 50. Early
yeah,
50s. I'm still going to want. Yeah, where's the gas
yeah,
at? I want to hear that engine roar. I want to hear that exhaust.
yeah,
Sound. It's like, but at the
yeah.
same time, like we at that point are a dying breed, and the and the focus is going to be like, no, I want a computer in my car that will talk to me and I can watch videos and it
That would
just
just
drive.
drive.
It
Yeah,
just drives it.
Jarvis,
It just
go.
takes me there. So that may be the want at that point.
I will say though, I think it's going to be a really good 20 years because it's going to switch from PDR or just replace. And I think a lot of bike shops just are not designed to just replace parts.
No, there's definitely a
They make their
huge.
money off of
Yep.
repairs. So I think in all of the PDR industry and history of what we're able to, the pool of people that we're able to capture is going to be enormous in the next 5 years, I
Yeah.
think. Um,
I learned that recently, being in a couple of body shops, taking repairs that they would typically replace using PDR-esque style methods, which is now just GPR, glue pull repair methods, taking that from a replace to a repairable state, and now adding hours. So it's
mhm.
obviously not only helping the tech, it's helping the shop as well. Um, so
But as parts become available, and then the requirement from the manufacturer to replace and not repair, it's not gonna be
yeah,
pretty. I mean, they're already starting to put repair processes in action and voiding warranties if you repair and not replace. And it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting these next 10 years for sure.
yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be fun. Um, yeah, it's gonna be fun trying to navigate that.
Yeah, for
And I
sure, for
think
sure.
I've been toying with the idea, and I think you've already adopted it, at the Springfield location. Doing a more of a PDR first body shop.
Yep.
So taking stuff that maybe a body shop would replace and not repair, getting it to that same repairable state, and we sublet out a body shop, just like they would
Too big.
sublet out PDR, how they've always subletted PDR, if they didn't have an in-house technician. So that's where I think the move for Dentless Touch is kind of going. I know a lot of other PDR shops are adding aesthetic services, which would be PPF and detailing and stuff like that. But we're already capturing these leads, side swipes and stuff that's not repairable. We get it to a repairable state rather than replace, and then we sublet out.
Because our methods are less intrusive than the body shop where there's stud welding and stuff like that. So I think in the repair world, they will rather use us than the stud welds and stuff like that, because we're taking it to a state where it's literally just primer and paint. So it's little to no filler when we touch it. So and we maybe take damage this big that would have filler this big, and I mean twice as much as the damage, and now it's just a small little dime or little area that we couldn't touch, and it's really minimizes the damage. So
Yeah,
that's my take on it.
I agree. I completely agree with what you think there.
Cool.
Because we don't have to find.
Let us know what you guys think, though.
We don't have to find
Shoot us
parts
a
or
message.
any of that stuff. So yeah, I think that you're right. I don't know if I'm right at all with the alloy stuff.
Nah, I
yeah,
mean,
I want to know what other people
speculative.
think,
So
this is a great conversation to have, and that's where like Mobile Tech Expo comes into play. All these places that we go for to meet up and network with technicians. I know a lot of people are more involved probably on the automotive side and what's going to happen in the future than maybe myself or yourself, because that's kind of what they get into. But yeah, those are our biggest threats to the PDR industry.
Talks like this are needed, man. Talks like this, you have to work through this stuff, so it won't be a surprise for if it does happen, right?
I agree.
So
cool, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace. All right, I think my customer is here.